Hello and welcome to Our Irish Life. For those of you that may be new here, my name is Saskia, and in today's video I'm going to be going through how to get a job in Ireland in 2026. So whether you are considering moving here or just coming to stay to work for a while, or indeed if you are already living here and would just like to know the steps involved in getting a job, then you are in the right place because that is what I am going to be going through today. So please note, I am not an expert in this area. I am just using a combination of personal experience, having applied for a few jobs in Ireland here myself, and also some research that I have done online, and I will provide some useful links below as well. I'm going to do my best to go through this as clearly and concisely as possible. And as I mentioned, I will give you further links then. If there's anything you need further information on, you can check those out as well. So just to start then, before we get into the main steps involved in getting a job in Ireland in 2026, I do just want to highlight that if you are moving from a different country or coming to work here from a different country, then a visa may be needed depending on what country you are coming from. And also different permissions could be needed as well, like the permission to enter Ireland and also permission to stay in Ireland. I will be mentioning visas in some of the steps going forward, but I am not going to be going into a huge amount of detail on it. So if you would like further information on visas and the requirements for different countries, I do have another video which goes into this in greater detail. So I will show you the screenshot of it here, and I will also post the link below if you want to check that out as well. So the first step then in getting a job in Ireland in 2026 is the preparation and the job search. So the preparation means that when we are applying for jobs here, we generally need a CV and also a cover letter in some cases. I'm sure this is quite similar in other countries too. So as I said, depending on the circumstances, a cover letter may not always be required, but a CV is a definite. So for anyone who may not know, a CV is a detailed document that summarises a person's academic, professional and also personal qualifications. It was mentioned as well that it is typically longer and more detailed than the typical US resume. Now, I personally don't have any experience in dealing with US resumes, so you would just have to judge that for yourselves. So one of the keys to a good CV then is to keep it clear and concise. So they normally recommend 1 to 2 pages. Based on personal experience, I think 1 page may just be slightly too short. It would be very difficult to fit all the information and like past education and experience and qualifications and stuff like that onto the 1 page. So I would recommend maybe 2 to 3 pages depending on what job you are going for. You don't want it too long either because people will lose interest. But obviously if you are going for something a little bit more complicated or like an academic role, then 3 pages may be needed if you need like a list of publications and previous work and things like that. So another tip for your CV then is to try and use strong adjectives to describe the skills that you have. And the most important is to try and tailor your CV specifically to the job you are applying for. I know it can be very tempting to just have a general CV that can be used for a multitude of jobs and like applications, but honestly, if you can even just tweak it slightly to fit the role that you are applying for, it will be of great benefit to you. It just really helps you to stand out amongst all the crowd of people that could be applying for the same job. So same for the cover letter then. If you're required to write that, please do try to tailor it to the job that you are applying for, and maybe also research the company just to see if there's anything you could put in there just to make you stand out a little bit. There are lots of resources online on how to write a good CV, and they talk you through that and cover letters and stuff like that. So if you are struggling or you're not sure how to go about it, then please do check out the online resources because they are very, very good with their advice. So moving on to the job search then. So there are lots of online platforms for this in Ireland. So there is the likes of irishjobs.ie, jobs.ie, we have Indeed, we obviously also have LinkedIn. There are also more sector specific ones as well. So we have the likes of healthcarejobs.ie and also efinancialcareers.ie. So on all of these online platforms, you can type in exactly what job you are looking for, which is really handy, and it will show you all the results that come up then, and you can go through and see which ones suit you and which ones don't. So for those of you that may need them in Ireland, there are a lot of jobs that do offer visa sponsorships. So especially in high demand sectors, which are the likes of healthcare, IT, engineering, and also tech roles. So do be sure to include visa sponsorships in the description when you're searching for jobs if that is something that you are looking for. Also, I just wanted to note here as well, for anyone it may be useful to, we also do have a critical skills occupation list. I will post the link below. So it basically just outlines jobs areas here in Ireland where there is a serious shortage and supply of people with the correct skills and qualifications needed to do the jobs. So if you fit into any of these, then that's amazing, because you will find it hopefully that bit easier to get a job here, because we are in short supply of the correct people to fill those vacancies. So I will post that below, so do be sure to check that out if you are moving here and you are from any of those sectors, then that is great for you. So tips for when it comes to searching for jobs then. The first one is to be specific. So search exactly what you are looking for. So some examples I have here are nurse visa sponsorship Ireland, or you could say like software developer full-time Dublin. Just make sure you have all the details of exactly what you are looking for, because it will just save you a lot of time and narrow it down from the get-go for you. The next tip I have then is to check for the right to work. So if you are coming from a different country, some jobs will require that you already have the right to work. So just something to be aware of. And then also do look for major employers, the likes of like Google, Microsoft, big healthcare and pharma companies that are constantly hiring, if that is something that you would fit the bill for as well. So for job searching then, obviously it doesn't always have to include the websites that I outlined previously. You can do your own networking and connect with people. I know that there's lots of different ways to do this. Even like pages on social media are a great way to come across people and connect with people that may work in the sort of sector that you are looking for. And a lot of companies also do list vacancies directly on their own websites. So if you do have an idea of who you would like to work for, or some companies that you have in mind, then do go check out their websites directly. You can also go the route of like emailing companies directly, see if they have any vacancies, but do be sure to check online first, just so that you're not asking them a question that they have already answered on that website. So there are many ways to complete the job search part, just to be aware. So then obviously then, when you have found a few jobs that look like they would be a good match to you or you would enjoy, then obviously the next step is to apply for them. So when you use the online platforms and you click on the job, it will usually detail exactly how you apply for it. A lot of the time you do actually do it through that website, or if you find one on a website like Indeed or jobs.ie, you can also go directly to the company's website and see if you can do it that way as well. I generally prefer to apply directly through the company's website rather than use kind of intermediate parties. But whatever way works for you is absolutely fine. So you apply for the job then, and you do that whatever way they outline. So sometimes it can be that you have to answer a few questions, send in your CV. Sometimes it's just as simple as a CV and a cover letter. Then once you have done that and you have waited a little bit of time, hopefully if you are lucky enough to be successful in your application, then the next step is that you will likely be called for an interview. So sometimes there are multiple rounds of these, and it's not always going to be with just one person. Sometimes it is with multiple people, or even a panel of people interviewing you. So it's just to note, sometimes they also do have like competency tests and stuff like that to go along with it. It just really depends on the type of job you are looking for and applying for. So then Interview prep then is what I have down next. So if you do get to the stage where you are called for an interview, it is very important to be prepared for that. So make sure you do some research on the company so that they know you are interested in the role that you have applied for. Also, looking up interview questions is a really good way to prepare. So some of the common ones that come up are like, tell me about yourself. So basically, what's your background? What's your previous education? Where have you worked before? You can kind of think of these answers beforehand so that you are prepared and confident. Then you have the likes of strengths and weaknesses then. So obviously the strengths are pretty straightforward. Just try and adjust them to suit the role that you are interviewing for, obviously. The weaknesses then can be a little bit more challenging. So obviously you want to pick one that isn't going to put them off altogether. I personally, in previous interviews, have always gone with one particular one that is my favourite, and that tends to be that I have quite a high attention to detail. So I know people may see this not necessarily as a weakness, but the way I phrase it is that I do like to have a high attention to detail in everything that I do, which can be quite challenging when it comes to jobs that have quite a tight timeline. So it can be a little bit of a challenge to get the detail I would like to reach and also get it done in a timely manner. But it is something that I am completely aware of and am working on. And so I think it's not too bad. It's not too bad of a weakness, and if you are aware of it, it's something that can be worked on. Like, obviously you don't want to go for one like, oh, I struggle to get motivated and get out of bed to go to work in the morning. Like, don't we all? Everybody does, and like everybody knows that. But obviously it's not something you want to tell your future employer. So I know they're two completely opposite ones, and like you do have the common sense to know that, but still, it's just nice to point it out anyway. So other common questions then is like, why do you want to work for this company? Where do you see yourself in 5 years time, 10 years time? So they basically just want to know what your career goals are from that one. And then your ability to handle challenges. So for a question like this, depending on the type of role you are applying for, sometimes they can want you to, or like hope that you use the STAR method in order to address that. So it's definitely something to look into. Make sure you research the STAR method. So basically it stands for situation, task, action and result. I'll try to put up a little picture here so it's easier to show it. And to be honest, even if you weren't sure what it was, it is a really good way to answer these sorts of questions, because it makes sure that you like give a really good answer and tailor it exactly to what they're asking. So for the situation, then you're just basically giving the background. So what was the problem or what was happening that you needed to deal with? The task then is what task you decided to do to overcome that and why you chose to do that one. The action was the action you took. You're going to explain that. And then the result, then you describe the results and benefits from the action you took to combat the problem that you came across in the first place in the situation. So just a really good one to look into because it may be required in some cases. So the next step then is, once you have gone through all those previous steps, hopefully you are lucky enough to get yourself a job offer. So at that point, the employer will ask you for further details. So it'll be the likes of a PPS number and bank details for payment. So if you are moving from a different country, you will need to apply for the personal public service number and then also open an Irish bank account to be able to be paid into that. And you may also need to apply for a correct long-term stay visa then. And that can take 4 to 8 weeks to process. So just something to be aware of. Also, when applying for jobs, it's one thing I forgot to include is there's always going to be one that looks like a really good fit for you and one you really want to get, but don't be tempted to just apply for those ones. Do try branch out and apply for lots of different ones that you think would be a good fit for you, because you never know what will come your way. But the more you apply for, the more you are likely to hear back from, hopefully. So don't rely on just one or two that you would really like to get and then be disappointed. Make sure you do apply for as many as you can. So that is all I am going to cover for today. I really hope this information has been useful to you in some way. And if you are going to be applying for jobs here in Ireland in 2026, I do wish you the best of luck with your future job searches and applications. So as I mentioned before, I will provide some useful links below for you to take a look at. And if you do have any questions, please just let me know in the comments. As I said, I'm not an expert, but I will do my best to get back to you and answer them if I can, even if it's just providing you with a link if I don't have the direct answer myself. Also, if you are considering moving to Ireland, please note we do have lots of other videos that may be of use to you, so please do go back and check them out. We do like to help people out in any way we can. So if you do have any ideas on future videos that you would like to see that may help you with anything, please do let us know. We may not get to all of them, but we will do our best. So if this sort of content is what you are looking for, please be sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any future videos that we may post. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you again soon for more of Our Irish Life.